Hello, my name is Kirioth, human plague bearer, held of Nurgle, full of pneumonia again. So this is probably going to be a bit of a shorter video than usual, just because I can't talk properly and it's getting on my nerves. It also really hurts my throat and chest to speak. So it's not a follow-up to yesterday's video about whether Games Workshop have messed up the year of the Xenos, even though they didn't really call it that. We've just been calling it that. This is in fact a leak of a supposed Games Workshop release schedule from now until June. What we're going to do is we're just going to rattle through it quickly. I'll basically pick out the bits that I think make the most sense, which to be honest is actually a lot of it, and then I'll turn it over to you to decide whether you think this is accurate or whether it's going to turn out to be a load of old guff. Now, the reason I'm actually doing this, because I don't normally cover rumours that much unless there is some sort of distinct confirmation or it seems absolutely plausible, which, you know, in the past a few things have. There's a couple of things in here that just make me think that it makes sense and it would sort of follow patterns that have previously followed for Games Workshop releases, and there's like a kind of convergence of different things that make me think that this could be accurate. So, as I say, I'll link to this stuff down in the description with the different places that are reporting it, and you can make of it what you will, but we'll rattle through it quickly now. So in February, Battletome Death, along with Codex Custodes and Codex Thousand Suns, Custodes in the first half of the month and Thousand Suns in the second half of the month. Warhammer Underworld Warband release, 2 of them apparently, and a Necromunda Gang and book. That is a lot of releases for 1 month, but it could well be accurate. I mean, we know that Custodes and Thousand Suns have got to be pretty damn close, and February makes sense. They could probably push them out January if they really wanted to, but then that would infringe on the Chaos Demons Codex, so they're unlikely to do that. And also, Malign Portents has been quite a big thing for this month. I think that's probably what they're going to be focusing all their energy on. So, yeah, Custodes, Thousand Suns next month, reasonable, totally understandable. They might have even confirmed that, but I'm so out of it right now. Then in March, we have some Necromunda tiles, whatever. Codex Tau, Codex Necron. Those are the things that are interesting to me, because up until this point, up until the announcement of Codex Custodes and Thousand Suns, all the stuff I was seeing was pointing to Necron and Tau being the next codexes to be released. I've received multiple messages from various people, different people, all saying the same thing, that they'd heard this, that they'd spoken to someone who heard this, or that they'd had that information passed on to them. There's a couple of websites that said similar. The Custodes and Thousand Suns Codex obviously blew that out of the water, but the Tau and Necron double release in the same month, that does kind of follow along the lines of what everyone seems to believe was going to happen. So whether that was the original plan, or whether that was kind of seeded out as false information so that the Thousand Suns and Custodes Codex announcements were a bigger deal and were more exciting and more surprising and were actually genuinely a shock, I don't know. But that does follow on from what I'd been hearing basically for like weeks before Custodes and Thousand Suns were anywhere near like the forefront of anyone's mind. So that makes me think that that could be kind of accurate. And also a Blood Bowl release as well in March. April would be the Harlequins and Dark Eldars codexes, which again, that combination makes sense to me. That doesn't seem particularly out of left field or unreasonable. Releasing the other 2 Eldar factions together in the same month, I mean, it ties them. I mean, they're tied together anyway with the Inari stuff, so that does make sense to me. I could easily see them doing that, and it would, again, not be totally unreasonable. May, a boxed game of some kind, but I've not been able to find that much more information about what that would be. I can't really think of what other boxed games there could be. Gorka Morka, maybe? Battlefleet Gothic, perhaps, but I was under the impression that Battlefleet Gothic was a Forge World deal, not a Games Workshop deal, although obviously Games Workshop would want to promote it as well, so I don't know, that's an interesting one. But Codex Space Wolves coming out in May, it's a standalone release. If it's in the same month as a boxed game, then that would probably take the place of another codex, so yeah, that seems reasonable, and I would have trouble believing that they would frankly push an Imperium faction to be the last codex to be released. Sorry, but I don't think they'd do that. In fact, to be honest, if I was going to make any changes to this list, I would actually swap the Space Wolves Codex and the Harlequins and Drukhari Codexes round in terms of months that they're released. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Space Wolves before those 2, but that's just my cynicism showing because we've had so much Imperium stuff already. That's just me. That's not really coming from anywhere but a place of cynicism, so take that however you want to take it. No, 40. Oh, carry on. So, April, May, and early June would be a load of big releases for elves. Elves. I mean, they've spelled it A-E-L-F-S. How are you supposed to pronounce that? I don't know. Now, that's exciting, even though you wouldn't think it would be, because it's Age of Sigmar, but quite a few people seem to be under the impression that this could be Slaanesh's big return to Age of Sigmar, which of course would herald some sort of return to 40k in some capacity, we would hope. I mean, if Slaanesh gets a load of big stuff for Age of Sigmar, then you kind of hope that they'd show the same kind of detail, show him the same, he, her, whatever they fancy on that particular day. You'd hope that Slaanesh would be shown that same attention in 40k as well, and it could lead to some cool stuff in 40k, even though it's Age of Sigmar based. So yeah, I mean, from what I've been seeing, 2 big elf releases, like 2 distinct armies for Age of Sigmar, not entirely unreasonable that one of them would be the Slaanesh related. So I don't know, that'd be worth looking out for, and hopefully be something interesting might come out of that. And then finally, and this is the thing that kind of makes me a bit excited and makes me think that maybe this list could have something to it, is in June, Codex Orcs, as well as a 40k campaign box and book. I like this for 2 reasons. Now, one of them is, frankly, Orcs getting their Codex last fits so much with what Orcs have had to deal with in the past, that if that is someone just making it up, they've gone to the effort of putting that particular nice detail in of Orcs getting their treatment last. They get the short end of the stick way too often, Orcs, and it would be the last big codex before they started releasing either new armies or rolling out new models for other armies. Amongst all of this stuff, there's not really been anything in the way of hints about new models for different factions. I don't think we'll start to see those until after the codexes have all been released, especially with the Custodes stuff coming out. I think that's probably where most of the attention's gone, that and the Primaris and the Death Guard. But Codex Orcs does seem feasible to be the last codex to be released. Not only that, but a campaign box. Now, one of the things that Orcs has as a significant name to them, if you want to put it like that, is Armageddon. And of course, Armageddon is also significant to Angron and the World Eaters. I would be very happy if a 40k campaign box came out in June to mark the end of the Codex releases, and it was Orcs versus World Eaters for the control of Armageddon. Now, that is completely something I've made up. No one is suggesting that. That is not a rumour. That is just something I would like to see, but it doesn't seem completely unreasonable. As we've already seen, Death Guard have got their own codex. Thousand Sons have got their own codex. A soft launch for World Eaters as a separate force with their own codex in June alongside the Orc release, and having World Eaters be the next sort of new army, even though they're not technically a new army, around sort of midway through the year. That kind of makes sense to me, especially since we seem to be seeing some sort of new force roughly once a quarter, or like once every half year or so. I could have just said 6 months. I don't know, that's me just sort of taking the idea and running with it, but it doesn't seem completely beyond the stretch of imagination. I think it could actually be possible. To be honest, I think there's something to this. I think it seems not particularly over the top. I think the actual pacing of the different codexes makes sense. They obviously want to get as many codexes out as they can, as quickly as they can, so everyone's on an even playing field. I don't know. It seems to have a ring of truth about it, but I thought there was a ring of truth about Tower and Necron being next, and they're not next. Custodes and Thousand Sons are. So yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. It's an interesting list anyway, and I think there is stuff in there that makes sense. But the question is, what do you think? Do you think this is accurate? Do you think they're talking shite? Does some of it seem plausible, but other bits not plausible? I'd be interested to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below, and as always, there's loads of stuff below the screen to click it. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. And I'm going to go and lie down and hopefully pass out. I'll see you for the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Toodaloo.